Hi everyone, I'm Bridget with Sleepopolis, here to talk to you about sleepwalking. Sleepwalking is often known as the sleep disorder where people walk, sit up in bed, or do other movements while they're asleep. Sometimes they remember doing these things later, but a lot of times they don't. In this video, I'm going to talk more about how sleepwalking works, why it can be dangerous, and what you can do to help someone who's suffering from sleepwalking. And since I am not a medical expert, I brought in the sleep doctor, Dr. Michael Breus, to help answer some commonly asked questions about sleepwalking.
I know quite a bit about sleep and enjoy the option to talk and answer questions.
The technical term for sleepwalking is somnambulism, but let's just call it sleepwalking for the sake of me saying it a lot during this video. It's considered a parasomnia, which is a sleep disorder that involves unusual or disruptive movements or behaviors. Along with sleepwalking, parasomnias include sleep eating, talking while asleep, sleep paralysis, night terrors, and hallucinations. About a quarter of children will experience sleepwalking, and about 3 to 4% of adults will experience it. It's most common in children ages 4 to 8. It typically happens during deep sleep, but can also take place during lighter sleep stages. Most episodes of sleepwalking last 10 minutes or less, but they can also be a few seconds or 30 minutes or longer. Sleepwalking can of course involve someone walking during their sleep, but also sitting up in bed, not responding to someone touching you or talking to you, leaving the home, trying to drive, appearing dazed, and repeating certain movements like rubbing the eyes.
Sometimes people can just make vocalizations or small movements. And again, this is usually a sign of sleep deprivation. 9 times out of 10, if I get people to sleep more or higher quality, it goes away.
As for children who sleepwalk, they can also deal with bedwetting, night terrors, and talking in their sleep. Common effects of sleepwalking in children are daytime sleepiness, behavioral issues, and symptoms associated with ADHD, like difficulty concentrating and hyperactivity. And you mentioned that it tends to be a little more prominent in children.
It does.
Why is that?
So we're not 100% sure, but we think it has something to do with the developmental stages and movement. So one of the things we know is itty bitties, like right when they start walking, that whole development time is a time of great slow wave sleep. So that's when we have our physical restoration. Kids are growing and developing and doing all those things. That is all kind of coming online at that point, and we think there might be a misconnect sometimes for these kids, or they might just be sleep deprived.
Now, this can make things really dangerous for kids or, quite frankly, anyone who sleepwalks. It can lead people to do things like using stairs, trying to drive, using sharp objects, basically tasks that require full concentration and for people to be awake. Can it be dangerous or physically harmful as well? Is it bad for the body?
Absolutely. So the biggest thing is safety as an issue. And so one of the big concerns is falling down a flight of stairs.
So how does sleepwalking happen?
There's a whole lot of different ways to become a sleepwalker. The good news is there are pharmaceutical treatments that if people need them, or just getting people high quality sleep seems to work as well.
Sleepwalking tends to happen during the deepest stage of sleep. Blood flow to the brain slows down and goes to other parts of the body for tissue repair and maintenance of the immune system. The lack of that blood flow to the brain then makes waking up during your deep stage of sleep difficult. Sleepwalking often happens in children whose parents sleepwalked as children, so experts believe it does have a genetic link.
The biggest cause, quite frankly, sleep deprivation. Now, there is a genetic component to it. Apparently, my father was a sleepwalker at some point in time, so I seem to have carried down that gene, but if people get too sleep deprived from a whole host of things, so that could be over-caffeinating, it could be drinking too much alcohol, it could be just not getting enough good sleep. So there's lots of different reasons why people can sleepwalk. As an adult, we also know that trauma can be related to sleepwalking as well. I've treated several people who have been PTSD from a whole host of different things, and they can become sleepwalkers.
The sleep and wake system is less mature in kids, which can contribute to these sleepwalking episodes. That's where putting up a baby gate, adding a door alarm, or security devices can come in handy.
People always say, should you wake a sleepwalker, right? Like that's always a big question. So here's the deal, is they're asleep, okay? So think about if you were asleep and somebody grabbed you while you were sleeping, what would your reaction be? you probably wouldn't be too thrilled about it. So what I always tell people to do is stand to the side of the sleepwalker and slowly put your hand on them, very slow motion, very slow pressure, and start talking to them and say, hey Bridget, it's time to wake up now. You're actually in the hallway. Come on, let's go back to bed. And that actually works really well. If you grab somebody, you can get a fist that comes straight across, and that could be a little on the dangerous side.
And if you're the one suffering from it, here are some tips to help prevent sleepwalking. Try to wake up and go to sleep around the same time every day. Turn off electronics like your phone, TV, or video games at least an hour before bed. Avoid drinking caffeine and alcohol at night. Try to reduce stress. Practice mindfulness, meditation, or yoga to help with anxiety. Keep the bedroom dark, cool, and quiet. Have any other sleep disorders you may be experiencing checked out and treated.
I guess the biggest thing for people to understand is it can be a normal occurrence. Like I said, 25% of children, 3 to 4% of adults are sleepwalkers. So just be smart, understand the situation, and make sure that you deploy the safety measures that you need to keep people safe.
Well, that's all we have for today for your guide to sleepwalking. I hope that this was helpful. If you have any more questions, feel free to go to sleepopolis.com or drop those questions in comments below. We'll see you next time.